Going live. We're live. Hi. Welcome to 5am Mester Scrum. Hope everybody's doing well on this Sunday. It's not really 5 a.m. It's actually 6:53, so it's a little later than normal. And there's light outside because usually it's dark outside. But we're on every day sharing information about Agile and Scrum here. I'm Greg Master, Agile Coach and Scrum Master. And hopefully we get some good news. And I'm just waving this little red light because, I like the bigger one because it's just get everybody's attention. And it's not a little pinpoint light. It is for my podcast people. And this is show number 69 that we've done. Soon we're getting there, right? Just wanted to show, like, sometimes you do a pinpoint light, a little tiny dot, or a thin line, and sometimes we do a thicker light of how things are going. With that, we're going to talk about the cumulative flow diagram a little bit because this is larger versus the pinpoint. Anyway, let's just mess around. And I hope everybody's doing well. So we're going to talk about two things. We're going to continue the leadership discussion since I got to do a leadership and Agile presentation at international conference. So I'm bringing out a couple little things as I get my brain working ready for that. And that will be in November. And I got links on LinkedIn, and I'll put a link on the site to promote it. Something interesting. We'll see how it goes. It's a virtual summit. It's free, so it'll be good. So two things. I want to do the leadership thing first, and then we'll talk about the cumulative flow diagram. And please like and subscribe and share. We are growing in subscribers every day. Hopefully things are good, and this is being found to be useful. And you are all doing awesome. All right, good morning. So one of the leadership concepts that I want to share, and Agile and just leaders. As a leader, you really got to be willing to do stuff yourself too. You look at the people that have been really successful in business, owning businesses, running things. They've done almost every job themselves in the organization. They understand how each job works and what it takes on. Now, are they scientists? Like, do they need to be scientists and understand how to code? No. But they should understand how things work. If you're an organization, your transformation, or you're a leader or manager and your teams are agile and doing this stuff, I really recommend going and getting certifications. It doesn't cost that much. It takes some time away, but maybe you learn how they're supposed to interact. You'll learn something. If you're not already certified in this agile business and you're a business side and everybody's going agile, take the cert. Get trained in how it works in the thought process. There's a lot of IC Agile courses that are kind of diverse and all over the place, a lot of business agility stuff. But even getting me becoming a certified Scrum Master, it'd be pretty nice if you're asking all your teams to learn Scrum to go get a certified Scrum Master. Don't take the test, right? The PS, I like scrum.org. I like their stuff, but they also have courses too. Just don't test out of stuff. Go to the class, interact with other Scrum Masters, learn what people are going through in their Scrum. So you do by leading, so that, I met a couple of Scrum Masters and people that are Agile coaches, and I'll find out that they don't have a cert. I'm like, but you're asking 400, 500, 600 people to go get their certs in testing, automated testing, Scrum, being a Scrum Master, all that kind of stuff. And it really doesn't take, if you're really that smart, you can do this stuff. It's not that complicated. But I'm really amazed how many people have been in this business for a long time. And I know some people poo-poo on certs and getting the things, but it shows that you're willing to put the time in and share that with people. I mean, they may look you up on LinkedIn or something like that, but by having that, when you're asking your people to do this stuff, having them seeing that you spent the time to actually get it yourself is a very valuable leadership piece of information. And as a leader, like I said, you got to be willing to do things that you're asking all your people to do, right? You wouldn't ask them if you're not willing to. So if you've been doing this business for years, and I've seen some Agile coaches out there that don't have any certs whatsoever, And yeah, they know how to do this stuff. I get it. You really should take some time and get a cert. I know some people don't care about it, but I'm like, I don't want to have to justify you and the organization or justify you. Oh, you're telling us all the Agile and you have no idea. So it's from a leadership perspective. There's so much stuff out there to go get a cert with, and get it from one of the reputable organizations for something online. Hey, pay $50 and get cert. Take a class for a couple of days. It'd probably be good for you to get away from the office anyhow. So that's what I would recommend. So my leadership point: go get some certs. Go out there, take some classes. Some people are like, certs, why am I doing it? Do what you ask your people to do. If you're in HR and you're asking for certs, I hope you know what the cert's for a little bit. But again, from a leadership perspective, do what you ask your people to do, right? That's an Agile leadership thing. And then in the Agile world, it's just that for Agile and Scrum, right? See, does it work now? Just change the lighting on my thing because I put my hand next to it. Ooh, yeah, like that. It's getting yellow. Here we go. Is that better? Yeah. I'm getting lights, so hopefully I won't get this yellow background that's coming in now. I don't know why I'm getting that. I don't know. Maybe it's the sun. Okay. So anyway, so now I got my little whiteboard, my little 8.5 by 11 whiteboard. So we're going to talk cumulative flow diagram because you got to draw a cumulative flow diagram. Sorry, my podcast people, but maybe I'll give enough verbal description. So all cumulative flow diagram is basically a chart. You got your top one is usually like points or hours or counts on the vertical y-axis, and then on the horizontal axis is time. And all the systems kind of do it differently, and everybody does it. You could measure this. It's harder to do this manually than it is with this computer system that has it. Theoretically, cumulative flow diagram, the top line at the very top, which is the amount of work you're going to be doing, should be pretty relatively flat, though it does change. And we'll have other episodes where we talk about good ones and bad ones, and I'll show you the difference. But today I just kind of want to talk what we're looking for. And when you first start off, this is all the work to be done. So on the very far left-hand side of time, like time 0 point, and then it gets your days 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. Right? To be done. And that's going to be all one color. Ideally, much like I'm going to draw the ideal version on here, much like it's a burn up chart, right? So ideally you start at 0 and you go all the way up until it matches up with the amount of work be done. So every day, a little bit of this to be done area gets smaller. This area underneath the curve gets smaller. And then there's a curve. There's usually a band up here. So there's a narrow band that's called the in-process band. That starts at 0, pretty much goes all the way up and until the point where you get almost before the end of the period if you get all the work done. So I'm drawing on here a little band where this is the in-process band and this is the final closed or accepted band. So ideally, in a cumulative flow diagram, the to be done area, will get smaller and smaller and smaller over time. As you move right on the graph, it'll get smaller. The in-process band, in the ideal situation, will pretty much be consistent through the entire. When you got a really good team and they're only taking the same amount of work to be in process every time, and this is where you get that WIP limit. This is your WIP limit, controlling that, right? If I say I only want to have 2 stories in process at a time, then I only have 2 stories in process. And then the last area is, and you can have different layers and different things, but I can't do this and do a podcast and kind of show what it is. The last area, which will grow bigger over time, right? And that's at the bottom right-hand side. That's your close or accepted area. So the amount of work you close as you go through time in the sprint will get bigger and bigger and bigger. People will analyze this thing to death, right? And they'll figure out and calculate. I just use it because I just put it on the dashboard so I can show the team how they're working, right? And I just want to look at the shapes. That's all I look at. I don't analyze the time. Some people that have lots of time on their hands will analyze. Like the reason why I do this in this way with all my dashboards versus all this accounting, agile accounting, as we talked about earlier in another episode, my developers and my testers and my teammates and the people who are working don't care, nor do they have time to analyze what their time, the little micro analyzes. Maybe if I'm used to doing reports and I'll report out, here's the thing. All I want them to do is look at the shape. Are we being consistent? And the reason why I'll say that, and I'll kind of erase some of the stuff I wrote on here, right? And I'm going to erase my board. And so I'm erasing all these little doodles I wrote on here. So all I want to do, and I don't really want to go into, let me show you this. I'll do this real quick here though. So the vertical distance, here's the micro analysis, the vertical distance in the in process. That is your WIP limit. That's your work in progress. That's how much work you have in process at any one moment in time in the effort. If you go horizontal over time, that number is how long it takes you to complete your work. That is your mean time to completion, or your time to completion, your cycle time. It's like your cycle time. That's your cycle time. Cycle time in process, right? So we're just talking in process because your real cycle time is the date you come up with the story to the point where it's actually accepted and done. That's your overall cycle time. But this is your cycle time for in process, okay? So every time you get a story, let's say it takes you 1 day, or do a task, it takes you 1 day to get completed. It sounds like, because I'm going from 1 to 2, maybe it takes you 1.5 days, right? The wider the band tells you the longer time it takes you to get stuff done. The idea is you want this band to be narrow as possible so work is getting done. So with that, so I gave you the ideal. It's like this little narrow band, and this is controlled by your WIP, right? You maybe, and we'll talk about WIP where we only do like 1 or 2 things in process at a time. So I got this. Here's what I'll see sometimes with some teams. The WIP gets higher and then it comes over. And then it goes up. And sometimes you'll get this, comes up like that. And this is where you grabbed a bunch of stories. So, or a bunch of tasks, and you'll get this effect. That's not a very nice flow. That's like a waterfall kind of thing going on, right? So you'll see that. And that just tells you someone got stuff done and they grabbed a bunch of stories at a time, or a bunch of things in process. But you know what? Look at this. See how this WIP is here? It's like a day. Now this stuff, hopefully stuff will get done. But you can have stuff that could be in process for like 5 days. And that's what you want to tell your people. Just be mindful, and you want to show them what's beautiful about this graph is it tracks everything from minute 1 to the end. You don't have to do anything. You just show the graph, because it would be very hard to manually plot this thing. This is why I like some of the computer systems. And I like using counts or maybe points versus hours, because hours depends on everybody updating how many hours they worked. But from the cumulative flow diagram, from a count or point perspective, this is relatively easy and pretty accurate in the system because of whether or not they close out a story. I mean, if they're not closing work in the system, you got other problems, and a lot of teams do, and we'll talk about how to help fix that out a little bit. But you just look for the shape. Am I getting a lot of waterfalls like this one is, right? Am I getting a lot of waterfall, like reverse waterfalls on here, or is it pretty standard and pretty narrow. One of the things you also watch out for, I've seen this with, I've had people, the whole thing, and I'll be honest with you, when the whole thing goes in process, this accepted thing does not go like that. This accepted thing goes like this, and then it goes like that, and then it goes like that. So if they want everything in process, this is all the in process, right? Like that. If you see that happen, what's going to happen? The whole work is going to take forever to get done, and you're not going to get any feedback until the very end, right? And so just to warn you, when you see it, and this is what you want to show them, if they're not getting stuff done, pull out this cumulative flow diagram, like the CFD, right? Take a look at it. If your team is not getting stuff in to get accepted at a regular interval throughout the sprint, double check this cumulative flow diagram. And I put this in my dashboards, my master dashboards for my teams, which I guess I should go through, and see if you're getting that. It's one thing. We're going to hit the cumulative flow diagram a few times, but I just want to share that from a metric perspective and a Scrum Master perspective and a team perspective, just to see why this might be one graphic that you can use to show your team that they're not getting work accepted or processed through, because their in process area is so big, right? Everything's in process, everything's scattered, everything's getting in there's no limited work in progress type activities. Anyway, that I wanted to share with you. See you in the show, because we only do like 15 minutes and we're into 1642. So I want to say thank you very much. Thumbs up. We found a little thumbs up thing, but I think it's lost again. No, it's not. I don't know what you did with it. So I want to say happy scrumming. Enjoy your weekend. Hope you go out and do some fun stuff today. I still got to work on the house and just. And don't cry, Ed. Okay, Daddy says don't cry. And you have a great day and a wonderful Sunday. And
you can't cry today.
Okay.
Don't cry today. It's too busy.
Okay, it's too busy today to make anything worry about. Oh, I see the thumbs up. It's on the other side. Anyway, thank you all. Have a great day. Happy scrumming. And thumbs up, like, share, 5 a.m. Mester Scrum with your friends, coworkers, LinkedIn, social media. We'll see. And it is now 7:11. Probably 2 hours past when I should really start this thing. And you have a great day. But it's Sunday. You can't always do it. Okay, bye, Ed. Ed says goodbye.